Today's show was brought to you by us, right? The INV Tribe. So we are so excited to have a website for you to be able to join our community, be able to have forums, deal flow, join different communities, build out your profile. Join us at invtribe.com, and you can find us on all the socials at INV Tribe.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Stay ahead of the curve and don't get left behind.
Let's talk about that today on the Investor Tribe.
I'm Milton.
And I'm Hampton.
And we want to welcome you to the Investor Tribe podcast.
Late night grind, got the cash in the flow. Flipping these dreams with the portfolio grow. Brick by brick, stacking wealth in the zone. Investor Tribe, obs where the hustle is home.
It's always cool to have people with incredible wisdom about the market. People that are smarter than you. Right,
the bar is very low there.
Well, it's smarter than Drew. How about that's where it really gets good, right? When we have people that know what they're talking about and could give us a 30,000 foot view of the market, and I think we have the perfect guest for that.
We
today.
do. We got Scott Panella. He's going to talk a little about shifts, trends, strategies for today's investors in the Louisville real estate market, and overall, just a great guy to talk about or talk with. And talk real estate with. We're fortunate to have him in the house today.
Yes. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Excellent. So I know you've been a mentor to me over the years, and can you just tell the tribe, how did you even get started in the business?
So yeah, I got started in 2004,
okay.
And that's really when my education for real estate sales started. Prior to that, I was in the mortgage industry for a couple of years, so I had that as a background. I joined my wife as an agent, and that's when we started selling together. It was right around the end of 2004, 2005 time period.
Wow. How did you transition from being a loan officer because you started off as a loan officer, writing loans, and I know very few people I know start in one and end up in another. How did you make that transition?
I wanted to be in front of the people. I didn't want to be over the phone. We were buying Lending Tree leads at the time. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. And so for me, it was I wanted to be face to face. I'd call it belly to belly, and that made a whole lot more sense to me because I like people and I like to be around them. And so it was one of those things where for me, I just felt like I could do that face to face and selling homes than I could over the phone or behind the computer screen.
If you started in 2004, I know there was a big downturn in the market, 2007, 2008.
Was there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just a bit.
Was it a blip? Or?
It was pretty good.
Pretty big, yeah.
And depending on who you talk to, and but it certainly was there. It was noticeable. What things did you notice? How'd you make it through?
Yeah, so hustle. I'll use one of Milton's words. I mean, it was a hustle, and the first thing I did, honestly, in 2004, 2005, it was like this fast ramp up. And then people didn't trust us because we'd only been in the business for a few years. Meg was in a little bit longer than I was. But so it was just became this oh my gosh, what am I going to do situation? So I actually connected with somebody at a local bank, Republic Bank. And I said, how can I help represent your foreclosures? In 2007, 2008. So I ended up representing the bank as their main agent when they used agents at the time to sell their foreclosures.
So I probably bought a few houses from you back in the day then. So
yeah.
I was buying a good bit in 2007, 2008 was when I got
2009 and 2010. In 2010, there was almost 10,000 homes on the market on the MLS. Now there's almost 3,200.
Yeah.
Back in 2021, there was probably around 9. The lowest I saw was 982 on the MLS. So I could see the swings. We're getting into what I would consider a balanced market. Back then was obviously a very buyer-heavy market. A couple years ago, it was very seller-based market. So for me, I've seen the swings, and I truly focused on what was happening at that time, and that was representing foreclosures. And so there was a tremendous amount of people that were buying from me as an agent. Sometimes we had dual-sided, and so I learned the whole investment game as an agent when I was representing a bank. It was fascinating.
Can you help us in the tribe understand where the market is from when you began to where you see it now. I know we've had some conversations around where the market is, and you even helped me articulate that in a way that I can tell my buyers and sellers and investors. But where do you see the market at this moment?
Right now, I think it's an extremely balanced market in that the buyers and sellers are both dealing fairly, if you will. Sellers have had to adjust a little bit their expectations. And that's really what that comes down to. And so we're negotiating a little bit more off than we have in the past. Sellers are not selling as is anymore. They might be, doing some repairs, those sorts of things.
Sure,
buyers
doing repairs.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Buyers are in a situation where they're still trying to come in lower because they're thinking, that I can come in really low, but the reality is that there's still not a ton on the market, and so it's not like they can be too picky. There's this really interesting balance going on in our negotiations, and so I think that when I look at a buyer, I sit there and say, okay, how badly do you want this house? Because they might not get it, because the seller might not be willing to sell at that level that they're going in. And as a seller, I'm going in and saying, how badly do you need to sell this house? Because a buyer might not be willing to pay what you're willing to buy or sell for. So it's this balance that we're looking at, that we're kind of in between. And that really comes down to negotiating skills, scripts, dialogues that all work as an agent.
I'm sorry.
I was saying it's important to notice those trends too, because you would be doing your clients a disservice if you didn't notice that the pendulum had swung and it's a balanced market.
Yeah.
If you were under the impression it was still a seller's market and you're getting offers that are a little under, or they're asking for more time, or they're asking for repairs, and you're telling them to kick rocks because you're expecting multiple offers and you think it's going to go above list price because you've identified the trends in the market, you can tell your clients objectively,
right,
hey, this is a decent offer. It's close. It's a workable offer. Let's see what we can get going. What we can do, and you're setting the expectations that hey, you may not get more than asking price. You may not get exactly what you're looking for, but let's be reasonable and negotiate because you want to get this sold. It goes back to what you said.
That's right.
How bad do they want to sell it?
Yeah, it comes down to motivation. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you sick of living paycheck to paycheck? So was I. That's one of the main reasons we started the Investor Tribe. We want to encourage you to join, where you can learn, you can find deals, you can fund those deals. There's community and so much more. We want you to skip the guesswork, join the tribe. Go to invtribe.com today. Over the years and over the time that you have spoken, I've seen you speak, you've done training. You have, you're one of the group, you're part of the group of co-founders of Keller Williams Louisville East. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed is that it's always been a client first philosophy.
Yeah.
Like, speak to that a little bit.
Well, if you're planning on building a business, you can't hit on like just one hit wonders. I mean, that's just not where you're going to build your business. You have to.
What is a one-hit wonder in your?
Somebody who buys one house from you and you don't follow up with them and see how they're doing, understand who they are, what makes them tick, what their purpose is in life, what their why is, who they're working for, why they're working for who they're working for. Those are all things that you need to dig into if you're going to build a business that is going to be sustainable. And anybody can build growth. Growth you can buy. You can buy Zillow leads. You can buy Realtor.com leads all day long. You can grow your business that way, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're scaling your business. Scaling means that you're actually properly funding your personal side of your life as well. Scaling means like, hey, I want to have a 28% NOI on a year-to-year basis over the next 5 years. That's building a business. If your net operating income, I wish we all walked around with like net operating income signs instead of how much volume I did, because to me, that's what matters. The NOI matters, not the gross commission income. And to me, that's one of those things where I feel like if we had a big old sign, like you guys have an Investor Tribe sign that said, "Hey, my NOI is 28%." Now that's somebody I want to go have coffee with, not somebody who just sold. I'm serious. We go up and give awards all day long, but we don't know really what they're walking away with and funding their life with, and that's a huge difference. Huge difference.
And for those of you that don't know, our listeners out there, Keller Williams Louisville East is a large brokerage firm. East side of Louisville, they're part of Keller Williams. They've got the different territories in town, but they've always had some of the best agents. Very nice, clean, well-run program. They're always recruiting good agents. And I'm every time I go in there, I look at the wall and I'm just impressed. Like, oh gosh, they're great. I've done business with them. They're wonderful. I know them from here. And one of the first realtors I worked with many years ago before we moved to Florida was Rick Hogue. Rick and Noel. So Noel's no longer with us.
Yeah,
but I hate to say yes. I hate to see him go.
Yeah.
But Rick was always a character and really helped me grow with investing. And then we kept him busy buying houses.
Sure.
07, 08.
Yeah.
I remember we had lots of stories and then so many great agents with Keller Williams. So
and we really focus on, our office is really specifically focused on business builders. Whether you're a solo agent, you have to build a business. Whether you want to have a small little team, or whether you're an individual agent with 4 or 5 administrative staff and team members, great, that's fine too. Or if you're a 15 to 16, 17 person type of team, we want you to come with a mindset of building your business, not just transaction-based business where you're just turning, and you're not building that established relationship and established business.
And I do want to ask you about that. And so, full disclosure, I am a Keller Williams agent, and I have been, and also Scott is also part of Keller Williams Louisville East. However, this is not sponsored by Keller Williams Louisville East in any way. I wanted you to speak to how loyalty and that consistent business is built, because I heard you say that you can't be one and done, you can't be transactional, but you've been able to build loyalty over time. How is that done, if you can speak to that?
Yeah, best example I would use on that is in 2011, I had a moving truck that was part of my marketing shtick, if you want to call it that.
That is the coolest idea
and
ever.
So there's a few agents in town that have that, but I had a big old moving truck that I bought and had it wrapped and the whole thing, and it was a little bit of a jalopy. I was not in a position to buy something that was just like brand new or anything like that.
Right.
And so it was an old moving truck. And so I bought this thing, and it always had a little bit of a motor tick to it. And I'd had clients use it, and people loved it. They would move for free and the whole thing. And so it was one of those things where after probably 2 years, it was starting to age itself. And I was a little bit worried about it, but I was still giving it out as a free thing to use if they use us. I was on a vacation one time in Miami, Florida, and I got a phone call. I was in the airport and I was on my way home, and I got a call from a client that was moving his stuff into his new house that he purchased with us. And he said, "Hey, we have a problem. The truck's on fire."
Oh,
and I said, like, what do you mean? He's like, well, the fire department is here, so that tells you that it wasn't like a small little fire. He said, but it hasn't gotten to the cab yet. He said they just got the fire out. There was an engine fire, and there was some flames to it and everything. And he said, what are we going to do? And I said, don't worry, I will take care of everything. 100% of everything. Yes, there's insurance on the contents, but I wanted it to be moved immediately. So I literally called 2 men in a truck and called them and said, do you have 2 men in a truck? I need you to back up to my moving truck, move everything out, and move it into their house for them. And I paid for that. And it was about $2,200 to do it. And the house was a $400,000 house. So I was making a nice commission on it, or compensation now. And the reality is that guy said, you made our day. You literally came in and saved our move for us because we weren't going to be able to do it without it. And so we were worried about like the person moving in, and I was worried about everything in the whole process. But I was in the airport, and I literally said, hey, I need to go in and actually get them moved in as well, not just moved into the truck, their stuff, but I need you to move them in as well. So just going above and beyond like that is how you're going to build a business that people are repeating what they're going to do. You have to be a problem solver. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be a problem solver because they're going to happen. These problems are going to happen.
Yes, they are. And that's solving problems.
That is amazing, dude. His business could have caught on fire.
Yeah.
That was a tremendous problem that you had to deal with in real time.
Yeah.
While at an airport in another
in another state,
Right.
and you're just like, okay, look, I need to drop everything,
I mean, that's why in my opinion, you have a credit card to be able to say, yes, I need to drop $2,000 and fix this problem. Because if I didn't, what then happens? Right? Then the client looks at me and goes, oh, I mean, he gave me a jalopy of a truck. He didn't come up with a solving the problem. I'm a disaster if I don't do that the right way. Got to fix it the right way. Hi, I'm Scott Panella, founder of Give a Goat. This Giving Tuesday, you can change a family's future with the gift of a goat, providing milk, income, and hope. Investor Tribe is donating to Give a Goat, and we'd love for you to donate as well. Please visit giveagoat.org and make your Giving Tuesday gift today. Thanks so much, and God bless.
So one time I had helped someone move, and I didn't help them move, but what ended up happening, I sold them the house. We're at the closing table. We did a final walkthrough the morning of. House had stuff in it, all over the place. They said, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to come back and we're going to pick up everything and it'll be great by the time everything is over. The closing ended. We literally get back to the house. It looked completely the same. The agent says, we're not moving anything else. We've already closed. Mm-hmm. We're done. What are you going to do about it? So, I can't tell you what I was going to do on this podcast.
We know but you're from Detroit, and it probably involved breaking legs or something else.
See why you have to go there, man. I wasn't gonna break the guy's legs.
Shoot him in the pinky toe, something.
You know what I'm saying? It was gonna be nice and legal.
Okay,
it's gonna be nice and legal. I mean, so anyway, I end up paying for the house to be cleaned up.
Yeah,
it was like $500 to get the house cleaned up. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't my fault. We should have demanded and should have held back from closing until the house was broom clean, as the contract stated. It's just, you have to be there to solve problems when those issues arise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure that now, did you get any, let's do some follow-up. Did you get any referrals from that? Or was it just the lack of negative press?
So it was
what I'm saying? Was it kind of...
Yeah, it was 2013, and they are still living in the house, but they've come to our events. We do events throughout the year,
right,
and they've come to our events. That tells me that they still think of me when it comes to real estate, and that's what I'm looking for.
That's it.
When my clients and past clients and friends think of real estate, they think of me.
I love that. I mean, because you cannot, that's a fascinating story, but it also speaks to your heart without getting into, we went into all the details, but it was the heart behind it. It was the urgency, because you've already sold. You could have said, hey man, we'll just go ahead, and you could have went about it in any other way, but for them to be loyal years and years and years later, and for you to be the first name when it comes to real estate, speaks volumes. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's good for any of the tribe, And
I read a while back that you were the rookie of the year. So now they say you started in 2004, so this is a little while back.
It was 2006. It was my first full year, because that's how they do things. Like,
Yeah.
I started, my first full year was 2006, actually. So,
About 20 so years ago.
Yeah.
Do you still use, like a lot of the realtors do, the same picture from 20 years ago on your business cards, or have you gotten away from that?
Oh my gosh.
It happens a lot in this business.
Yeah, no, ironically, you search my name on Google and there's still one of those out there because it's been in, the history of the Google things.
Yeah.
But no, I don't use that picture anymore.
And I'm guilty of that too. I serve on a nonprofit board, and they took headshots where you actually dressed up or wear a shirt and tie. I don't normally wear a shirt and tie unless somebody's died. So that's the last good picture of me in a shirt and tie. It's at least 10 years old.
Yeah.
Completely different haircut, skinny, no gray hair. But I understand what happens or why realtors sometimes just don't get around to doing it, or they look better 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just how it goes. Nobody's dying here. There's no
No. That's not.
shirt tie today.
That's not.
But now you've built up one of the biggest, nicest brokerages around Kentucky. What are some lessons, going from rookie of the year to building the brokerage and being a good agent to building a team? What are some parallels that?
I have a business partner now. His name is Ben Kinney, and he is the co-founder along with Chris Suarez of a platform.
You're gonna have a business partner. You swung for the fences.
And they co-founded a platform called Place, and that's a different podcast, different concept, but Place helps us build and run our business. It's a platform. It's a business platform that helps with services as well as agents and finances and marketing, et cetera, run our business. But the comment that he made the other day in a meeting that we were in that said, growth is stifled by comfort, or comfort is the enemy to growth. Same thing. And not to get comfortable, because that's in my opinion, that's one of those things, like, I don't want to have my headshot taken again because I'm comfortable with the one it is. And next thing you know, you're not growing, right? And so that's one of the reasons we partnered with Place actually 3 years ago. It's also where I got into my investing world. To bring this home a little bit more, in 2013 is when I started in my investing world. And a mentor of mine, Jimmy McKissick, said, just get in the game. Because I said, I need to get in the game. He and his wife Linda own our Keller Williams region. They wrote a book called Hold. I find it very important to mention this because that's where most people get stuck. And my guess is that's where most of your members and listeners are. They don't know how to get in the game. And they just need to get literally rip the Band-Aid and get in the game. And that might be buying, like I did, a $37,000 house. That was my very first property. And the reason it was that one is because I saved $7,000 and needed 20% down. I personally don't do hard money lending. I know people do, and that's fine.
What kind of condition was that $37,000 house?
I mean, most houses at $37,000 are
Two
not
sticks in the foundation?
No, I mean, it was livable. And the water was on. There was some leaks, and like the electricity was on, and there was some leaks, and I mean, the reality is that I had to upgrade it, and so over time I upgraded it. But I found somebody to rent it for $600 a month. And so for $600 a month, I would, when I would get my mortgage payment was probably around $400. I would take that $200 and get something fixed. And I did that for about 2 years. And then because the market started going upward, this is believing in holding and not just hoping, but holding your real estate. After 2 years, I sold that for $70,000. Well, I not only got the mortgage paid down and not only got the house fixed up, but I was able to double my money just about. And it was because I just held on to it. So then I held on to that for 2 years, and then I started investing more than one property at a time. And so I've just taken a very conservative approach, yet risky in some people's eyes, but conservative in a lot of investors' eyes, because I've never done hard money lending. I won't do it. I always put 20% down or more. I'm buying too bad, like unless it's an absolute steal and I know about it. I'm buying a 2-bathroom home, not a 1-bath home. So again, unless it's an absolute steal, those are kind of my parameters for myself and my risk tolerance. Some people have a higher risk tolerance than others. I have a risk tolerance that's very high compared to some of the people I know in my world. You guys probably think I'm super conservative because of the standards and practices that I put in, and that's okay. It's just what is comfortable for you, and what I know my time and my money is worth.
Did you always start off that way, or did you evolve? Like, how did you start off? How did that journey start?
Yeah,
and was there an evolution to this?
Now that I've made a little bit more money in this, my risk has, it's decreased a little bit. It's certainly loosened up a little bit. Have I always bought 2-bath houses? No. But why do I? Because I've seen the returns on it for me are so much better. And again, I just came out of a house in an area of town that I just have always struggled with for me to turn, because for me, I look at it and I say, okay, I want to make around 20% on a flip. Well, flips today are harder than they were 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yes, they
are. Because the limit is now, the high end of the market. Before, it was almost limitless at one point in time. We could just name our price and we would pretty much get it, right? That's changed. So that's why flipping is getting a little bit harder and it's a little softer right now. So people are, in my opinion, should go into hold. You ask me what my opinion is of the market, go find some renters and get people in and hold on to your property a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And time is your friend. And that book again you mentioned was called Hold. And they've got a couple different variations, don't they?
Well, there's one called Flip.
Flip, okay.
Yeah,
Flip.
and that's a different author. And there's one called Hold. And then there's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is written by Gary Keller, Dave Jenks. And then there's another one called First Time Home Buyer. And there's also a Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Yeah,
yes.
The Blue Book. Yeah.
The Blue Book, yeah.
So there's a set of books that I highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, we're big on education here at the Tribe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we are.
I don't know if we'll have links to those, but just check out our library. There's forums. We have ebooks, videos, and if you can constantly be educating yourself, you'll learn. You can learn from other people's mistakes. You can learn from other people's experiences, and it's constant growth.
Yeah, and constant growth. But you gotta jump off the cliff at some point in time.
Get in the game. I love that.
Yeah.
Just get in the game.
Get in the game.
I mean, literally,
I
just
love
get
that.
in the game, and that's what JB said. Just get in the game. And so, 7 houses within 5 years is what I ended up getting. I don't have an enormous portfolio. I went down the road of a couple of Airbnbs at one time. One of them was a vacation rental down in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Again, I learned the process, learn it really, really well. I've got an Airbnb across from Churchill Downs. It's just done amazing. And now I have a couple
Didn't
investors.
I sell you that?
No.
I didn't sell you that.
No, we have another one on Bohannon. That was on Longfield, and I
that's
bought
right.
that for $90.
Right.
Just like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just sold it for $140. And
Everybody wins.
And I never had a tenant in it.
Yeah.
Not one time had a tenant in it. I thought I was going to do an Airbnb. I sold it with a cup. I got the cup on it, conditional use permanent, but I sold it for $140. I never had a tenant in it. It was one of the. Actually, that is a complete bold-faced lie. I am so sorry. That's a bold-faced lie. I had a tenant in it for 6 months. It was a friend of mine that we were helping.
But not a normal tenant.
Who was going through a tough situation. So
no.
Apologize for that.
No, you're perfectly fine. We got
Yeah, you're solving problems. One thing you have to do when you run a business, and it doesn't have to be hard to run a business. You should have to be an editor, actor, and a brand strategist too. So our friends at Bespoke Marketing, they can help you look great while you do what you do best. Visit them at bespokemarketing.org. Bespoke Marketing, connections tailor-made.
It seems like we can talk all day about you and your business. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of pick your brain about is your ability to build teams. Because over the years you've been able to build teams. You've you've had teams kind of go sideways, and then you have great teams, and then it was just it's kind of been all over the place over the years. And now that you're seeing that, it seems like you're primed for a lot of victory moving forward. But can you speak to your journey about team building? Because so many investors don't know how to build teams and struggle with team building.
The number one thing that gets in the way of going further is pride, in my opinion. And we as humans,
help us out with that.
We naturally as humans think that we can do everything by ourselves. And we don't want to do it with other people, or you could do it better, right? We often see it in restaurants or fast food. We see a coffee shop go out of business and another coffee shop come in right behind it. And then a coffee shop comes in behind it because everybody thinks they can do it better. The reality is that if you actually have a team of people around you, and you can truly understand what everybody thinks and their opinion of what you're looking to do, and you can formulate a plan together, you can move much further faster as a group than you can individually. We've all heard that before.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. Like, I have contractors. I have one general contractor I've been using for 17 years. 17 years. I've been to his family's funeral. Like, he is my general contractor. I guarantee you most investors do not, and they just run through general contractors because somebody pissed somebody off and they're not doing this right and they're not doing that right. No, you have to build your trust. You build your team. So I know who his electrician is, who he calls on. I know who his painter is. Sometimes we've got backups, sure, but overall it's steadfast and steady. It is the belief that most millionaires are kind of boring, to be honest. They're kind of boring because they're steady. They do the same thing day in, day out, over and over, instead of reaching for the stars at a new shiny object, a new brokerage. The whole brokerage game, in my opinion, is broken. I mean, it's a race to the bottom. How low can I get a cap? How fast can I get something done by the brokerage? AI is now calling my clients for me, and and all that. So that's all like mute if you don't know how to handle a client and handle a business the way a business needs to be handled. Truly, my belief. I'm not saying that AI is not important. It's extremely important. We have that in our business through Place. Where I believe is it's never going to replace us as an agent. It's never going to replace us as a human who walks you into that house and shows you that property. And so that's where I start to really separate and go, okay, if your mentality is that, I want to talk to you about being on my team. And so I've had one team that I've formulated over and over. I haven't started it and stopped it. I've had one team for these 17, 18 years. And that's where bringing people in who want to be a part of that, or part of what I've learned and constantly growing, is really important to me. And that's when I want to have them on my team.
I love that. It seems like in the age of AI, you have to be the human, right? You have to be the person that is actually connecting. And it seems like you're making connections with talent, and you're making connections with partners.
Yeah.
That allowed you to build the team over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you can grow quickly. You can grow super fast. I mean, we've all seen it. But when you do things too fast, it doesn't always last.
I don't know who said it, but you hear the term a lot. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
But you got to build those strong foundations and build those teams that that'll get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
And AI, it won't necessarily replace us, but it will enhance us, make us more efficient. There'll be some people that are left behind that refuse to embrace it or don't want to learn something new, and they're stuck doing a task that takes 4 hours, and AI can help you enhance your capabilities and get it done in 30 seconds.
That's correct.
That's it. That's it. And one of the things that I will say that when I first came into the business, I knew you guys were a big name and did a lot of business, and I was impressed by that. Okay, initially. Then
Now
what
you're
was
no longer
more
impressed with this.
let me finish.
You've seen behind the curtain and you're like, no.
Oh,
These
heck
guys
no.
have no idea what they're doing.
Right. No, but what really impressed me, Scott, was that it's not about the dollar, and it's about something greater.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you started a nonprofit, and you're doing amazing things, and I just want you to spend some time just really talking about that.
Man, I appreciate you bringing that up. My wife and I expanded our family in 2013, adopted 2 boys from Uganda, Africa, and during that time frame, we you felt like we wanted to give back, and we were honestly called for a bigger, higher purpose, and we started a nonprofit called Give a Goat. And Give a Goat started by us literally giving 2 goats to the people that took care of us during our adoption in a guest house and during that time. And we put it on Facebook at the time, and people saw it and said, we want to give a goat. We want to give a goat. And it has morphed into a huge, beautiful project, and through donors only and amazing people, even like yourself, you've donated to us, is we now have a farm that we own, and we bought that land, and in 2018, I think it was, 19, and we now have 15 acres in a little town called Musita in Uganda. And we have 142 goats right now. We milk half of them or more than half of them and donate that milk to local orphanages. And then we also donate the goats that don't produce milk, because not all of goats do. And we donate those to malnourished children and widow organizations to single moms. So we traditionally pair them up, boy and a girl. They do the birds and the bees thing, and they, procreate, and basically are able to farm, eat, trade, sell, whatever they need to. And so that gives us that opportunity to do that. The best thing is, the best team that I have been fortunate enough to be a part of is the staff of 7 that are on the ground in Uganda, because it's all 100% Ugandan run. We don't do anything. Like, we don't have a staff member over there. That we don't want to be part of a white savior complex, anything like that. And I'm not going to get into that today, but I firmly believe in Ugandans know Ugandans, and so I want them to run that system. We just want to help fund it over here. So it's awesome.
Man, I love that. And so I do have I do have a question. Why a goat?
Yeah, goats are easier to maintain. They're smaller than cows. They don't eat as much as cows, so they're a little bit hardier, and so it's just an easier animal to maintain over there. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. For me, I don't know anything about goats, but I've learned a lot about them now. So you can go to giveagoat.org and learn more about that. It's really, really a big, big passion project for me.
Yeah, and that was the thing that impressed me the most. I felt like it was really good to be tied to someone who is not only focused on business, but using money for the good that it can do, and actually being mission minded and helping others. And I do share my wife and I have been foster parents for over a decade, and that is a journey. Yeah. And I think me and you've had a lot of different conversations about helping others and the struggles that are with that. And I'm glad that we can use our businesses to help others, because it's not just about us.
No.
And as we build our businesses, you build your teams, you do all the good things for ourselves, but yet it's also being able to share with others. I love that.
That's how we built our teams too. Is tell me about who's important in your life.
That's
Not
right.
how many homes you sold last year. I want to know who's important. I want to make sure that I'm aligning with great humans.
You want to know the why. Why do you do what you
Why?
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally
And that the website you mentioned was giveagoat.org. Okay,
All right.
great.
We'll leave that in the notes. And we just want to thank you for coming out today. I think we could have gone on for another hour. and so what we want to do is just thank you so much for coming out to the Investor Tribe podcast, sharing a lot of gems and a lot of cool things that we all need: how to build a team, how to build a great business, how to build loyalty, and how to give back to others.
No, I appreciate you guys having me here. And honestly, the number one takeaway, in my opinion, for new investors is to literally get in the game. Like that is right. That is my message, right. Because there's, and to come here and learn and take away knowledge and information, but get in the game. You can load yourself up with it, but unless you apply it to something, it's a waste of your time. So listen to these guys. They know what they're doing. They've surrounded themselves with great education and great knowledge through experience. And so I highly, highly recommend being a part of Investor Tribe.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. Yeah. And you can enjoy the Investor Tribe, right? By going to invtribe.com, sign up, start a profile. Bespoke Marketing can help you pimp out your profile if you need help with that as well. And we have great education, great communities you can join. We have Marketplace. You can find us on all the social medias at INV Tribe. And I'm Milton Ali.
And I'm Hampton Scurlock.
And we'll catch you on the flip side of the Investor Tribe.
The Investor Tribe podcast is brought to you by the Investor Tribe, all rights reserved, featuring Hampton Scurlock and Milton Ali, executive producer Drew Cookenmaster, produced and distributed by Bespoke Marketing.